a June evening that people are in there buying shoes from me with 0 reviews, 0 sales, and not a very professional setup. The way you described it was dead on. Like, there are cycles though, but every time it's a lower high. Like, if you imagine a stock that's just tanking to 0, it'll have rallies, but it'll never reach the prior high, and then it'll dump back down again.
I read that wrong. I thought you meant 20% ROI. No, that's like what, 30-some% ROI. So you're basically turning $2 into $7.
Nobody with $10 million is like, I want to go sell sneakers on Amazon. Like, that just doesn't happen.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Side Hustle Experiment podcast. We are joined by Rick. This is the second time on the podcast, and we actually had something else planned today, but we were talking about Whatnot, and I was like, I wanted to have him on again anyway, so we're probably just going to riff on Whatnot. You can give a brief intro yourself, or people can go watch the other podcasts to get a bigger deep dive.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me on, guys. I started selling on Amazon probably 3 years ago. I took Drew's mentorship. Still sell like 5 to 700K a year. Just part-time. I have my own business that I run mostly. So Amazon's kind of a side thing. And then recently started getting into Whatnot, exploring that with Drew. So.
Yeah, we got inspired by Levy. And then I was like, I'm happy that you did it, because usually you have a good, I don't know, sense of this stuff. Because I was like, maybe I'm too hyped about it or something. I don't know. But you end up doing the show first. So kind of explain how the show went and, like, I don't know, how the process was altogether.
Yeah, so I mean, it was pretty easy to sign up. It lets you do as much or as little as you want. So like the first show, we just like went live and started holding stuff up, which obviously isn't very like efficient. But you just kind of have to keep cycling through the stuff you have. And then eventually we learned for the second show to like take a picture of stuff, but you could do it with your phone and then upload it so that when someone comes into your room, they can like scroll through all the stuff you have listed and be like, I want that one, run that one now. So that was kind of the model we did. We kind of just, we would run stuff here and there, but then kind of ask people what sizes they want. We were doing a lot of shoes. And yeah, it was pretty good. And I think we sold, I don't know, $150 each time of stuff that for consignment, I probably would have gotten like $40 for. So not a lot of money, but at scale, there's something there.
Yeah. If you think about it, if taking it to like Plato's Closet or like one of those places, you're going to get like $2 or $3 a shoe when it's like way more. Yeah, I didn't even think about being like 10x the amount of consignment, which is probably the only comparable thing. No returns, no fee, just straight cash to you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were talking about, me and John have been just riffing on it like 30 minutes, but you can go ahead and ask him more stuff because we'll just keep talking about it.
Yeah. So are you mainly liquidating your Amazon inventory then?
Yeah. Yeah. So just kind of testing the market and seeing like, what can I get for used shoes? What can I get for used shoes or for new shoes that have tanked and all these different things? Just kind of as a proof of concept thing before I go out and get inventory or go down that route. But I've been pleasantly surprised with like, on a June evening that people are in there buying shoes from me with 0 reviews, 0 sales, and, not a very professional setup.
That's awesome. Since we last talked, I don't know, maybe it's been like a year or so. What are your thoughts on Amazon? Kind of your journey and what you're up to. Yeah.
It seems to keep getting tougher and tougher. Obviously, the good days are older. I know we had talked last time. Like I was a trader for 10 years, stock trader, and you would see the cycles there too. But it was always like lower highs. So like a new group of people would come in. Like my first day trading, they were like, "Yeah, it's done, it's over." Like there were guys quitting because it had gotten harder. But like I still had 10 years in the business, made a great career out of it. But like 5 years in, when people would come in, I'd be like, don't start, it's done. Like it just keeps getting harder because more eyeballs get on it, more money gets thrown at it, and it just gets more efficient. So FBA, like you guys always say, like it's not a good business to start now. If you started at the right time, I don't even know if I hit it at the perfect time, but I established enough that I can still kind of run it as like a couple hours a week thing and make money because all the processes and the history is in place. But obviously you couldn't start it today the same way. And so that's kind of the thing I've been looking for too. I watch all your guys' podcasts, and the whatnot thing has been the first thing I jumped on. Is like there's something there. Like it's at a good place where the company is. Like if you go through the rules they have and stuff, like it's got somebody there listened to the complaints of Amazon sellers and like implemented a bunch of cool stuff. Like it's just so refreshing. Like so, um, I still run the Amazon. I still do like I don't know 40K a month, um, doing like 5 hours a week. Pretty high margins because I still prep myself, but I'm ready to turn it off on a dime if the wrong thing gets ungated or regated.
Yeah. What do you think about the cycles you're talking on that? Well, we had just talked about that in the last pod we did of like how these guys say it comes in cycles. Like Amazon will be good again. I'm like, in my perspective, I think that everybody that says that like that has a fundamental like misunderstanding of the world, maybe, or like how markets work or something. Because, like you said, it gets, Well, what do you think about it? Like the people that say that.
Yeah, I listened to that pod. The way you described it was dead on. Like there are cycles though, but every time it's a lower high. Like if you imagine a stock that's just tanking to zero, it'll have rallies, but it'll never reach the prior high, and then it'll dump back down again. And I think most business opportunities are like that. Like um, it gets to a really bad point where everyone's so negative, enough people quit. You'll have some daylight, and then everybody will flood in because they saw the daylight, and then it'll get worse and worse again. So um, there are cycles, but if it's in a downtrend like that, there's just no point in it. Now, like you said, there could be an outside shock. Like if there's a COVID thing, that would scramble everything, and it would be really good again. But sure enough, it would start the decline, and that's just businesses maturing. That's not like anything to freak out about.
Yeah.
But it's something to know because like it's gonna happen.
Yeah. I don't know how. I don't even know. I guess is that economics? Like, well, I don't know what that is. It's like, why do people not understand that concept? I don't know. I don't even know how I learned that. But trading actually made me think about it. But now that I started doing the crypto stuff, I saw the same stuff in the charts. It's like the best it's ever going to be is like at that first all time high. It's like if it breaks through again, then maybe it's just like a longer term type of situation. But a lot of times it's just like lower and lower. And then you're like, wait a second, this has no shot of ever recovering back to, what it used to be.
Yeah. And well, I think with businesses, the point is too, the reason it's good in the beginning, like with Amazon or probably eBay back in the day or whatnot, is they're giving stuff away to get people on the platform. They're giving stuff away, burning through their investors' money to try to get eyeballs. So you can benefit from that. But once they don't need to do that anymore and they pivot to like profitability, they're going to just start clamping down. And they're never going to lower your fees unless there's some outside shock. Like if I guess if Whatnot took enough eBay business, maybe eBay would lower fees, but I feel like they haven't lowered their fees. It just goes up every year, same as Amazon. But like when you look at the Whatnot fees, it's never going to be this low, probably. Like they're going to want to make money eventually. I don't know if they're or how they're making profits now, but you got to get in now and establish yourself in any business you want to do when they're trying to get people in.
Yeah, the way I look at it is like I haven't seen, and I was talking to John about this. I think the bet you make here is one, you can make it profitable, so like it's a good business model. But also, if you position yourself correctly, when volume increases, and that in like I don't know, they bring somebody like a Jenner on the platform, like a Sabrina Carpenter, some like big, probably a woman that would do it because a lot of women shop on there. You will have like a 10, 20x influx of buyers, and then that stuff you're selling for like $30 is immediately going to go to 100. And if you have enough inventory, you're going to sell like $5,000 a show when before you might have been selling like $400 a show just because there's so many eyeballs on the platform. And I don't think that's happened yet because the top viewers on there are like what, like 1,000 maybe at the peak time. One person has 1,000 people, which is like nothing compared to other streaming platforms.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm hoping that was what happens. I guess the gamble because it could just die. Maybe Instagram does it or whatever, but I think long term, all it needs is one catalyst, and that thing will be number one in the App Store, and everybody will be talking about it. I hope. But yeah, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, I really like what you said about kind of the stock market where it's like something drops and then it goes up, but like it doesn't go up to where it was. And I think that's like a perfect analogy kind of for where Amazon is kind of at right now. And I do think a lot of people would kind of, when you, Drew, is kind of just like, I don't understand that, how people don't understand that. I think a lot of people just take things at surface level. When people be like, oh yeah, like Amazon regates everything. Like I've been selling for 15 years and they do this, and like you haven't been selling for 15 years and you just take it at face value, like okay, like that makes sense, or like, oh, everyone's leaving, so like prices are going to go up and like everything's going to get great. They're like, yeah, I guess that makes sense, but like there's really no source like saying the other thing. So I think that's kind of why this stuff continues to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so you were mentioning the fees on Whatnot, and you wrote me that breakdown last night, and I didn't even realize that. And you're right. I mean, I double checked it. That's how it works out, but that is pretty big. So explain that to people.
Yeah, so I had a bunch of old shoes. Some of them were used. I guess a few of them were new, but if I pegged my buy cost at like 20 and I was selling them for 30, like you can't do that on Amazon. That's like a loser. But if you sell on Whatnot, if you back out the fees, you're making like call it $7 a shoe on a $30 sale. Now that's without like any expenses. That's just from the sale. So, but that's over 20% margin and there's no returns. So the only thing you have to figure is how much are you, if you're not going to stream yourself, how much are you going to pay someone to stream? How much are you going to pay someone to ship? And then what are your expenses in acquiring it? Because I had this stuff from before, but if you're going to get stuff at scale, you would have to obviously buy a ton of product. But so it's basically like, if you're going to pay somebody $20 an hour, I think that's what Levi was saying, plus a bit of commission, you know, if they sell 3 items per hour, then you're profitable, right?
Yeah.
So I don't
Yeah.
know, but I mean that assumes you already have office space. You got to adjust those calculations based on what your fixed expenses are. But it was a real eye opener to look at the numbers and be like, wait, that's more profit than Amazon.
Yeah, you sold it for $30. Yeah, I read that wrong. I thought you meant 20% ROI. No, that's like what, 30 some percent ROI. So you're basically turning $2 into $7. That's insane. Yeah, the
Yeah, I never
margin.
look at ROI. I just look at that margin. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, man. Okay, so I was talking to you about this yesterday, and I was going to ask you about this next time we talked. So there's two ways I think you can go about it pretty much. I mean, unless you get like niche, like sports cars and stuff like that, mystery boxes, but you can either go super high volume where you're paying basically nothing and selling stuff like hundreds of items an hour, or you're going like the way you're talking about where maybe you pay $15 to $20 a unit and you're trying to get that $30 to $40 mark. And what do you think? Which obviously me and you are new on this stuff, but what do you think? Like, what is the best way to go about it like that? Because for me, I felt like the high volume was the only way, but that way you're saying also makes a lot of sense.
I think I had something about the personality. Like it comes down to your risk profile. And I think, you're like a home run hitter. I'm a singles and doubles guy. So like I can't really give you advice on how to hit home runs. But like for your personality, yeah, I think if you want to scale something, you would do the dollar, $2 items and just make it all up in volume and create this massive machine.
Yeah.
Um, Now I don't know how pallets work. I know I've read some horror stories where it's not what it says and it's not saleable. So like it's more risk. But if you don't mind that and you can handle it, then that would be your model. For me, the thing I've always done is I never sold hype shoes. I never sold any item over $100 probably on Amazon because I don't want like returns. I don't want to have to learn that market, whether it's like Nike Dunks or Pokemon cards. Like you need to know so much about that to not get scammed.
Mm-hmm.
it, that doesn't make sense. So like for me, could I buy non-hype shoes for 15 to $20 and flip them for 50? I don't know. I don't know I don't know what the demand is. But the great thing too about Whatnot is if you want.
Said it before on the podcast. One of the biggest regrets was not outsourcing my Amazon business sooner. Hiring was a hassle, training VAs was even worse, and I put it off way too long.
Same here. And as you guys know, I'm lazy. I don't have the proper skills to hire and train employees. And me and John have both came to a conclusion after interviewing over 70 people that outsourcing is a necessity to scale without massive headaches. So today we have partnered with Carter Maxwell and his VA Fastlane service. If I knew about this when I was on Amazon, I'd probably be selling still today.
If you're working a 9 to 5, have capital, but not enough leads, or just want to stop doing the tasks you hate, the VA Fastlane is 100% worth checking out. Carter has been on the podcast and he knows his stuff inside and out.
And maybe you have commitment issues. We all do sometimes. The good news is you can just try out the service for an hourly rate. So if you're tired of running a baby business, book a free call with Carter below and see if he can help you scale your business today.
Watch other people's streams. You can see when they sell stuff. So you can like literally fraud check them in real time that like, dude, you've run 20 things. Nobody's bought anything, you know? Like, I don't care if you have 100 viewers. You're not making sales. Like, explain your model to me, you know?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you don't know their buy costs. You don't know where they got it. I wouldn't doubt that a lot of stuff on Whatnot fell off a truck somewhere. But like, you know, if you're trying to operate a legit business, I'd want to see somebody on there doing the thing you want to do and making sales. So
yeah, I thought 100% people are running stolen goods out of there. That like guaranteed, because some of that stuff that they were selling, like there's just no way it would make sense to sell it for that. Like the buy cost is not even possible. This stuff is not. You did not pay for that. You paid $1 and somebody else paid $0. Like that's that was the only thing that made some of those electronics. Like I saw somebody selling drones. It was like a $600 drone. And it was selling for like $60, and I was like, you didn't get that thing for $20. Like it's a $600 drone. But there's other, like, you know, there's ways you can get inventory for free. You know, you do the Amazon influencer program. That's like what John does. He has like hundreds of items he gets. And then you have TikTok shop where you request samples. You can get 20, 30 samples a day. So there's ways that you can like arbitrage that opportunity too, where brands just send you free stuff for making videos and then you can sell it. So it's literally free into whatever you can get.
Yeah, I got like 150 things last month for free that I did videos for.
Yeah. Which is, I don't know. Well, like when you think about the shoes getting them that cheap, would it be, do you think you could do it consistently? Because I would struggle to see like, or maybe you load up a lot at one time, but you also need diversity. You can't sell the same shoe over and over, right?
yeah, I don't know how you would need to hit those like bi-monthly sales at the different sites or whatever, or the outlets or whatever it is. I guess I just don't know how much demand is there 2 years from now from a shoe. Because I would, I don't know. That's the other thing I'm trying to, because I know the turnover is the big thing, but I would also think you could get some like vintage stuff. Like if there's stuff, not vintage, but like 2 years old. Like, do people want that? Because they'll be the only ones on the street, you know, having them. Like I had a bit of that. Some of the shoes I had were like ones I sold a ton of like 2, 3 years ago, and they sold, you know, on Whatnot because our pitch was like, look, no one has these. They don't make these anymore. Like they're discontinued. I don't know what their colors or pattern cycle is, but it's probably gonna be another 8 years before you can get these. And like, I don't know if people bought. Now maybe they bought for another reason, but like, I don't know.
Yeah. I was afraid to sell stuff like that because like, well, the audience doesn't have to be that educated, but I guess it's your job to educate them. Right. I didn't do that. And that makes me feel dumb now that you say that. I should have told them these colors are discontinued, like this thing, but I didn't really say that. And the colors aren't that pretty. So it's just like, well, they're like, that thing's ugly. But if they know it's limited, that's a whole different ballgame. I love how Whatnot too, speaking on that, they have like psychologically got this thing. They must have like psychologists or some kind of people like that that have built like helped build this interface because they have made it so addicted for the buyers. Like that, the people in my stream were saying like we've been on here for a few days and we've spent over $500 or whatever. Like we're addicted to the app.
Dang.
Yeah, and I think people are. And like I streamed at 3:00 and I streamed again at like 10 p.m. and there were 3 people that showed up on both streams. They like tuned in again for my stream. So these people are like really addicted. They become your fan. They like want to buy this stuff. So that's always a good sign for an app like that, especially this new.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a couple people come back for the first stream I did myself, and I had my son on my computer, like running the auctions and stuff. He had a ball with that. And then the next night, my wife ran the stream, and some of the people came back, And you talk back and forth with the chat, and a few of them were like, the wife's better at it.
That's
All
funny.
that, yeah, that's neat. Wait, so you weren't even on there, or she was on there with you?
I was in the background, kind of like giving some advice and stuff,
Oh, okay, yeah,
but like it's like a fun, family thing to do. Like I really think like I mean you guys are too young, but like when eBay first came out, it was like so hot. Like people were like selling on eBay and it was like exciting. Like I think this is the same thing but even more because people can be in front of the camera. Um, I don't know.
and interact in a group like that. That's the. I was looking it up like before I'd started. Gary V, he's huge on this stuff. Like he thinks that this is the future of like online sales. He's like every brand will have to adapt to this. And one thing that makes me think that that is true too is because of the QVC stuff. Like that's one business model that has been around and has been working for a really long time. Like how much stuff fades like over time. That thing's been around for a long. You get on your TV right now, you'll see QVC stuff, and this is like QVC on crack, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. Other stuff when we talk about it. I don't know. Do you think? What do you think about like? Are we just blood drunk from having a few streams? Do you think it's actually like that big of an opportunity? Do you think there's anything we could be missing? You're pretty good at picking that stuff out.
Um, I mean, I guess I'm just comparing it to other things that are out there, like what's the most you can do with your time? Where's the opportunity? I'm sure there's like, I don't know. I'm sure there's things we're not exactly seeing.
Yeah. I
What
don't
do you
know.
think are some of the best things you could do? Feels like you've done a lot of things, looked at a lot of different things.
Um, I mean, I've done my own thing for like my whole career, 20 some years. Like I've always had my own business, my own trading thing. Um, Health insurance is expensive. Like as you get older, if you have a family, like I don't know. I feel like people should have a job.
No dreams, dude. You don't want people to have dreams.
I mean, this would like do something on the side, obviously, but like I know like well again, you guys are young, but so like entrepreneurship is this hot thing, like but things swing from one to the other. Like I feel like we're almost maybe not close to the point where people were like, "Damn, this sucks." Like I wish I just had somebody pay my health insurance and match my 401k and just like didn't have to worry about hustling, you know?
Yeah.
I could just be old.
Yeah, I
No,
don't
I
know.
think no go ahead.
I don't know. The thing I see with it is kind of the same thing I said about the business model stuff, though. It's like there's never going to not be people bringing people to be entrepreneurs. Like once people found out they could make money doing that at scale, like what's going to, unless people just take out Hormozy and dating everybody, which is not going to happen, like there will never not be an influx because there will always be kids maturing and then older people, dying. So like the new kids who are on their phone all the time, it's like that. They'll never end doing that. They're never going to be like, okay, well now I'm going to be an accountant. Like if once they see that stuff, it's just you can't. What's the thing? Miles said this on the pod. It's pretty cool. It's like once you see some stuff, you can never unsee it. So it's like that sticks to people. I think like that's how I am. There's no way I could get a job. I'd probably be homeless before a job because I'm like I see all this stuff. I can't unsee it. Like I see the opportunity there.
Talk to me in 20 years.
Yeah, I guess.
You've also never had a job though.
I worked at TJ Maxx for 3 months.
I mean, that doesn't. I mean, it counts, but like a real like corporate 9 to 5 job where
Yeah.
like you just kind of show up, like you could call in sick, you could kind of just go through the motions, and someone's gonna pay you. You don't really have to worry about anything. Like you said, you get your health care. Someone's giving you 401k. Like you don't have to figure anything out. And I think a lot of people. I mean, I've actually seen a lot of people, or people have DM'd me, and be like, "Yeah, I'm done selling on Amazon. I'm basically broke. Like, it doesn't make any sense for me anymore. Like, I'm just gonna get a job again. It's just easier." I think we will see more of that. And like, it was just a reselling teacher who was on, and he was basically like, Amazon's a great side hustle. Like, if you want to put all your eggs in one basket to make this like your full time thing, obviously he has a family. Like, it depends on what you're doing and what you need. But I mean, I don't know, if I had a family, I would not be putting all my faith into Amazon at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could amend it and say like I think kids should like start a business, get a website, something related to like coaching or some sort. That's what my other business is because I think that's also going to be tough to be disrupted like by AI. Like I know eventually, in 50, 100 years, kids, parents, everybody will be comfortable with like, an AI life coach or an AI personal trainer or whatever, but like that's a long way away. Like people want someone to inspire them, to ask them about their weekend and not as part of a program, but because like they actually care about them. And so, and it, you found, well, probably a little bit, Drew, that the coaching is pretty fulfilling when you actually help people.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
Like, and so, and like John, you have your community, right? I mean, that's like when people say thank you for helping me do this thing, it's like it's pretty rewarding. And if your other job is going to be some sort of e-com money hustle, you need something rewarding in the background because all these money hustles, like there's not a lot of contentment there. Like nobody with $10 million is like, I want to go sell sneakers on Amazon. Like that just doesn't happen. Like you do fun stuff. Like that's the crazy thing people don't realize, and I think it's why it brings so many like sort of psychopaths into these industries is because like there's no reason to do it other than money. So like the only reason people are there is for money, and that's why it becomes so easy for people's sort of ethics about it to slide and be like, well, I could make more money if I sold these non-dry fit socks as dry fit, and who's gonna really care? So then and it's just that's why you see like a lot of bad practices and like I don't know, a
Yeah.
lot of guys sort of crash out of ecom. It's because it's like and especially if it blows up in their face. If you have a coaching business, if you're helping people, you're training people, even if you blow your money in some dumb investment scheme, like you still had dozens of people who you helped and like you did something with your time. And like, yeah, you didn't keep all the money from it, but like mental health is a thing. Like it's good to feel good about that. So I feel like kids should try to build out kids. I call people in their 20s kids. But like young college, kids out of college, like, yeah, put up a website, try to start a business that way, but not necessarily an ecom business because the ecom businesses they boom and they bust so fast. And like if you're not there at the exact right time, like if I'd started Amazon 18 months later, I think it wouldn't have worked. You know,
Go more into
it's a
that.
weird
Why do
thing
you
to
think
think of.
that?
Sorry.
Go more into that. Why do you think that?
Um, I guess I mean I've seen it get more competitive over this time, and so like what if I didn't get ungated in these two brands? Like, what would have happened? And like, you know, Drew, you weren't offering your court. Like I got in right at the right time with somebody good who knew what he was talking about. Like that didn't exist later. So like everything kind of lined up right. Plus or minus 6 months, I would have been good. But if I'd waited another year and a half, it just wouldn't have worked. Like, um, so I think people don't really appreciate like how perfect your timing needs to be on some of these things. Like, and
That's
that's
such a
why
good
when you
point.
see it, you got to like run to it and like go all in, and kind of like not look back.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's exactly that. That's why I'm so up on the whatnot thing. Just like that over, I've watched that theme play out so many times of like your window of opportunity for so many things. Like it's luck a little bit, but it's really just like pushing yourself into the timing. So I don't even know if it is luck because you got to have some willpower. But if you miss it, it just then you can get really stuck fighting an uphill battle of like losing money over and over, and then you're really sad because you feel like an idiot because everybody's doing good except for you that you see on the internet. And I don't think a lot of people talk about that at all. And that's like a huge aspect to almost anything you do online. And I know that because I tried so many things last year and I was like, whoa, I've caught this way too late. Like this stuff, there's like not even much new stuff to do. Like the people with the high skill are just eating the whole pie of this. Like there's no even room for me in here. It's going to take years before I even get in here to do well at a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, I think the competition is underestimated because like I remember we did day trading for like 10 years and like for years I would come in and be like I can't believe this isn't over tomorrow. Like how are why aren't there people doing this, 100x what I am and closing all these things? And I don't know if the money wasn't right or the technology wasn't right, but eventually it closed. But there was a window. The window was like 10 years. And then a lot of guys I knew went into online poker after that. And that had a decent window, but it was a little shorter, I think. I know people still do it and it's still possible, but like the good days when like you could just sit down and make like, when there was a lot of dumb money kind of rushing into it, that was a shorter window of time. Amazon, I feel like, is even shorter. Like when it's the boom, what like a year before COVID to like 2 years ago, maybe. So what's that? 3, 4 years when it
Yeah.
was like rocking, where you could just sit down and run it out of your house and sell 1 million or 2 million. And I think it's because you have a lot of like smart young guys who don't want to work in a company and they're just scouring the internet for opportunity and they have credit to be able to like pour the gas on when they see it. A lot of these things just get more efficient, like more quickly.
And the AI stuff's probably going to speed up a ton. Did you watch that guy, the AI podcast that we did? Or have we even released that yet?
No, it's in it
Oh,
really
that's a good one. This guy gets on. He talked about like he showed this like script he was running on that thing, and he has never coded in his life. Doesn't even know how to write a line of code. Did it all with ChatGPT, and he scoured like all of Rack Room Shoes and like generated 22,000 UPCs, and it broke it down to like 90 profitable ones. And he brought that up of like I can sort through all these websites and do all this stuff like he was breaking down the odds, which was kind of crazy. He was like on these websites I would scout, I think it was 22,000 products and there were like 90 profitable ones on the whole website. And that was like, he applied the discounts and all this different stuff. He was like, if you're a normal person, you're never going to find that. Unless you already know what to look for, you can sort out a bunch of the bad stuff. Like your chance to find a product like 0.003% or something. And he was showing all these scripts he was running. It was crazy. And they were all custom. It wasn't like tactical arbitrage. It was different. But that's going to make it efficient too. And people figure out they can just do that with ChatGPT on their own.
Yeah, it basically solves like it
Yeah.
solves, like chess. Like chess is solved, poker almost solved. Like when you apply that kind of like those sort of tools to things like this, like you basically solve the problem and there's no way for anybody to elbow in and make any money.
Yeah. I think that's another reason maybe these creativity based business are going to be bigger. Like the coaching thing, obviously, but like even this like whatnot or the Amazon stuff or like TikTok shop, like this stuff requires some level of like creativity that can't be automated away or like even saturated away. Because if you have like more entertainment than all these other people, it doesn't really matter what they provide. People are still going to tune into you. You like capture all this attention, which is like that's what kind of breaks it, I guess, is the attention, right? If you can like gather attention, all the other stuff can kind of not matter.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's all sales and personality, like building that brand.
Yeah, it's almost like everybody has this resistance to do it too. Like nobody wants to make a social media, nobody wants to like get and talk and everything. But like eventually you realize if I don't do this, these businesses that are like sit behind your computer and grind away, it's just going to be so rigged against you that you're just not going to make it. It's way easier to just try to be creative, try to grow your personal brand, try to do stuff like that to where you have some leverage that's not in the form of clicking buttons.
Yeah. But I mean, I can see, I think the resistance too is like, it's easy when people are like, I don't want to buy your product. You're like, all right, whatever. But if they're like, I don't want to buy your brand, you're like, oh, really? Like, I think some people are afraid to put themselves out there, like, hey, will you be my friend? And people are like, nah, not my flavor.
Yeah, that's like trauma from like, that's like school, like I had bullying and that type of thing. Yeah, so you're like kind of just pushing yourself back into that as an adult. But I don't know how to get over that really, but I guess you kind of just gotta believe in yourself and know that like I don't really care. Like I was nervous about that stuff until I did the coaching. And that gave me all that. I was like, I helped so many people and all these people like looked up to me and like believed in me. I'm like, I don't really care what other people say because I have all these other people that like I know me and know that I'm not like full of shit or whatever, which that helps. But not everybody's going to get that opportunity either. So I don't know.
Yeah, it is from like that insecurity, people that haven't like achieved enough to like believe in themselves.
We'll talk about that because you're older. You don't like you never probably would have thought you'd be on the internet like that. Now you're doing a decent amount of creativity stuff. So like if somebody's listening to this and explain that kind of thought process. I remember when I first told you about that, you were like, never gonna do that. You've traded and did Amazon. Those are like the two most faceless things ever.
Yeah, I figured it'd probably be pretty embarrassing to be hawking used shoes out of my basement on some web app at 40 something years old, but you have fun with it. I mean, you know, kids love that stuff. Like, my kids are hyped for it. They're like, when can we go live again? Or like, did so and so go live? You know, like, if you just have fun with it, that can kind of help you. Don't take yourself too seriously, you know? Like, people have that image. And I guess I did take myself too seriously too, a bit. Like, I'm not going to do that. But it's like, nah, it's fun. Just whatever. Like, who cares? But yeah, people should listen to Grant's podcast that you guys did. That's like, Grant says it better than I do, but that'll motivate people to just be like, yeah, just try it. Who cares? Like, it really doesn't matter. So
What did he
Yeah,
say specifically? Or go ahead, John.
yeah, no, I'd agree with that 100% because I guess on surface level, if you just start it, right, it's just like your wife and your kids are doing it. Like who you're like showing up for are just a bunch of random people. It's not like you're doing it in front of your family or whatever. Like there's really nothing to be embarrassed about. And I'm sure you were probably just like they made like comments to you or something. You're like, oh, I guess like they kind of like me. I obviously sold some shoes or whatever. Like this is kind of cool, and then like it will kind of grow on you and kind of like the experience, which I think is awesome.
Yeah. Is there anything
yeah,
Grant said specifically that like made you think more about it? Because that was like the turning point. I forgot about that. That was like when you mentioned, okay, I'm gonna start. I might as well just start doing this. Was there anything that like really clicked that was like bridge the gap of like I don't want to do this till I do?
I can't remember the one thing, but like I listened to the interview you guys did. I've listened to a few other of his like podcasts. I mean, I don't know. It's just that kind of like just do it thing that he kind of says. Like, what are you afraid of? What are you know, what are you waiting for? Kind of thing. You only go around once. You know, like he's good at that motivation stuff. But yeah,
It
I
was,
guess it's just like don't take yourself too seriously. You know, like people have this image, and it's like, well, I wouldn't do that. And then, but if you really investigate it, it's like, well, why not? What else? What else was I going to do? Like sit on the couch and watch Wheel of Fortune? Like it was a half an hour on a Tuesday night or whatever. Like it's fine. Like no big deal. Like
he,
there's not.
he's good about
You know
that.
what
You
they
know,
say? Like fewer people are watching than you think. Like fewer people care. You know, everybody's just wrapped up in their own thing. Um, you know, and like I said, it's a great thing for kids too. Like kids love it. Like, oh, we sold. Let's run the auction. You know, oh, Joe bought it. Congrats, Joe. Like, thanks for coming out. You know, it's like running a garage sale basically, but you don't have to see all the people, and you can run auctions, and you can, you know, just say whatever you want. You know,
yeah.
so it's a I think it's a learning thing too for like I don't know why they don't run ads like on the evening news for people to sign up for. Like I've never seen an ad for whatnot, but like it's a if they market it as like a family garage sale online to the world, I feel like they'd get a lot of signups. Or like you said, if they found the right like influencer, like everybody could be doing this instead of just buried in their phones. You know, you could be chatting with people and whatever.
Yeah. It's a crossover of so many things too that like they I hope that they have a good team behind them to like push it because if they can push it correctly like you said or get a good influencer or a combination of things, it does fulfill like so many things that people waste their time with. Like spending money, watching TikTok, watching TV, like you can kind of get all the dopamine in one and it's interactive. So it's like it's really really good. I just wonder if they can convey that message to people and get them to sign up like that to a large amount of people to where there's like, 50, 100, 200, 500 million people on the platform. That would really change everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're private, so it's like tough to get the numbers. Like, I mean, I've tried to dig in and figure out their financials and their, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot out there.
Maybe they'll
It
get
just
acquired.
says like their sales, you know, how they've grown each year,
Yeah.
and they're growing really fast. But
Oh,
even
yeah.
Gary Vee, I think, only had 500 or 1,000 viewers at a time, which I know there's a lot more people who follow him, you know. So I think it is still early in that sense.
Yeah, which has been around a while. I was looking at YouTube videos. The only thing you can find is 2 years ago, 3 years ago, the popular ones. And I was like, I didn't know it was even around this long.
Yeah.
So that's what made me think. I was like sitting there thinking, are we even early or are we just dumb? But I think it is early. I think early can just be years. You know, Amazon's been around forever, but it didn't really boom until the COVID stuff. Like that's when everybody popped off. So
Yeah, like 2012 to 2018 was probably early for Amazon, right? Like
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know that a lot changed until COVID or right before COVID or whenever they let people ungate Nike or whenever that moment was that like, launched all the course tellers.
what do you think about what? Do you think there'll be like whatnot people? It's not for me. That's the goal. But you think there'll be a lot of people teaching that thing?
Yeah, when are you releasing your course?
I want to get a number. I want to understand. And the real thing I need to understand, I don't even care if I do 10,000 sales or $1 million in sales. I think the big bottleneck for people is going to be how to source inventory to make it worth your time. And like, obviously garage sale is one thing, but like, dude, that I would feel wrong telling people to go garage sale after they pay me money. So I would want some type of way to like feed suppliers or at least teach them how to find suppliers or some like, that's the bottleneck you have to figure out. The inventory problem is the biggest problem. It's like how to, for one, how to get the inventory, but also where to even put it all and how to get it consistently. I can see that being an issue if you try to scale it up at all.
Yeah, I would think the bigger opportunity would be, people who just want to make an extra $500 a month or whatever with stuff around the house and stuff from garage sale.
Yeah, that'd be pretty easy then, I guess. I guess I think of everything of like, how can you get rich? But not everybody thinks like that. Some people just need $1,000. I forget that like most people actually think like that. So I guess yeah, maybe I don't even need to fix that too much.
I mean, I think you'd have two different courses, You'd have one for people who are probably young and want to make $1 million and willing to go buy or rent a warehouse or a storage unit or whatever. And then people who just want to like get started and have an estate sale to get rid of and like going to garage sales.
Yeah. Yeah. I
It'd be
think,
like two different markets.
I
I
don't
think
think it would be that hard though. Like you would find your way to find suppliers, and that would work where I live. Or right, you'd be like, oh, go on Facebook. This wouldn't be the way, but go on Facebook Marketplace, find pallets. Like the same pallets here aren't going to be in Kentucky, vice versa. Or like you don't have ollies. I don't know if you guys have ollies.
yeah, I've always,
There's ollies here, but like I think you're gonna run into that or like regional stuff, or you're just gonna find a big ass supplier that can service all the US. Like, hey, I'm gonna send all my students to you. Like, give us a deal. So I think like eventually, once you kind of find that out, that won't be as hard. Be more like convincing someone to get a warehouse
yeah.
if they want to do 40, 50 grand a month or whatever it takes. I think the Renzi guy though, they are gonna do close to, I don't want to quote it, but I think their goal is $2 million, and all they have is a basement. Like, and they do it out of their basement. I'm trying to get him on the pod, and yeah, he's not responding. But
Post this clip. Let's cry for
yeah,
help. We want to understand this.
but yeah, he has like this whole sourcing team supposedly. So like he hires shoppers in all these different states. Somehow the inventory gets back to him, and he does these whatnot shows, and like he tracks his time by like the hour, so he knows exactly how much money he's making per hour. I think it works out to like 150, 200, or like sometimes even $300 an hour. And his goal is to do like shorter shows or shorter shows and less shows to see if they can make more money in a smaller amount of time. And they're just constantly experimenting with that. So I think once you kind of get the supply chain down or whatever, you could definitely do that. Or you figure out a way, which I've seen this done for like eBay stuff. Like we were talking about that Rally Roots. Like they get so many vintage T-shirts that they eventually sell them in lots
Yep.
to their audience, and that's kind of solves that problem.
Yep. Yeah, I think one thing I was thinking about maybe how would you do the like the I don't know. What I'm thinking is the accounting inventory side of this. You get a bunch of stuff and then you just sell on a cost per like unit basis. You don't have to figure out, okay, I paid X amount for these shoes and X for this shirt, because kind of you can sell everything on there, right? Like even if, and I was telling John, even if you don't sell your item, you can just give it away and it has some value because you're going to bring people into the stream for the giveaway. So
Oh,
is that, I think the accounting on this would be pretty easy. And like, and then it makes okay, I did 500 this show and I know I paid X per unit. I just divide the units. Makes it really simple instead of like trying to individually track each item, I think.
Yeah, it would be simple. And there's no return. So like that takes that whole thing off the table.
Yeah. I guess it just what kind of machine can you make to where you can get like loads of stuff for like $2 or whatever, and you can sell it all for $7, and then that's it. And you're just you print money to infinity because you can just sell loads of it. That's my like that's where my brain takes me. Is like, can I find something that's in demand enough to where I can get loads of these things and sell them for like an average of $5 to like $10 profit, and can I sell like 1,000 a day or whatever? But that would require like a lot of infrastructure and employees.
Yeah, I mean, my instinct is whoever is already doing that and has the $2 connection is
Yeah.
probably not going to share it with you. But like you could build something like anything. I feel like the best thing is probably the trickiest in a way that like if you're paying people to go to yard sales and go to thrift stores and go to outlets, you pay them to bring the stuff to you. And you'd have to see if the numbers work out. So they can find $3 to $4 items, and after you pay them, it becomes 4 to 6 to you. Start there. I don't know, because I do know there's people who are paying teams to go around and do that. Like I've heard of a couple people who are doing that with Whatnot, and they go like hundreds of miles of radius to whatever their places are. I guess it's a form of RA.
Yeah.
But again, you don't have to worry about authenticity. You don't have to save your receipts. Like that changes. I still haven't wrapped my head around that to know that like I don't have to prove this to anybody, like that it's legit or not. And tomorrow they're just gonna take it all or turn the whole thing off because of whatever. Like that's a big deal. Even for somebody doing it legit. I'm not trying to sell fake stuff, but like you know how Amazon is, that everybody's in that same boat. But did you see the shipping thing with Whatnot? Before I forget, how you get like 5 free shipping mistakes every week?
What? No, I didn't notice that.
So you know how the shipping, I know it fouls me up, and I feel like it fouls everybody up. Like, how do I ship it? What should I click on? Like, am I
Yeah.
going to get charged? What's the most efficient? There's a thing where, so before you list, you estimate the weight, and then um, they use that to estimate the shipping cost for the people. I guess I might have estimated a few like the wrong way, and then I bundled them together and I used a heavy box. Something happened, but basically it was like 10 ounces off. Well, you get 5 free adjustments every week. So it was going to be like $8 was the difference between what I claimed and what it would be. And they eat 5 of those every week.
I did not know that. I just now shipped all my stuff today, so I don't know. But I could have messed up a bunch. I thought about that. I think it's better to overestimate. But if you say that, I mean, maybe it's overestimate some, underestimate, see what happens. Because if you get, that's a lot of money. And that could be like a big adjustment.
It's probably capped or something, but yeah, I've used two of them. One was $2, one was 8. I guess I'm sloppy with my measurements, but like it's just so refreshing. Like you would never see that, like the way Amazon handles stuff. Like, and how much does it cost them to make people super happy like that? Like, oh, good, they do care. They're not hammering me for every nickel
Yep.
on every like extra ounce of shipping. Like,
And
that customer service goes a long way. Like, that's one of the biggest things. Like, why I would just give up Amazon, even though I can make 100K a year or whatever net. I mean, pre-tax is like I don't want to fight somebody who's getting paid 15 cents an hour for 50K of inventory. Like, I'm not doing that. It's almost a humiliation ritual. Like, there's no reason it should be that bad. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like when you're winning a football game and you run up the score and then you spike the ball in the opponent's mascot's face. Like, you didn't need to do all that.
That's what Amazon's doing.
Yeah.
It feels like it. I probably need a better mental model, but like, they're really bad.
Yeah. They definitely do not care. Yeah, even a little bit. But I don't know. They have bigger stuff to worry about. That's my fault. It's like that's probably just the least of their worries. They don't, did you watch the one with the reselling teacher?
Yeah, that was great.
I think he's like the same thing as like the government of like, you're in like small town people. It's not like the government hates those people, but they just don't care enough to even care about, like, they don't care about them at all or even know that they really exist. If you go to like small towns, you're like, yeah, how would this even How would I just went to some place the other day and there were just like nothing there. There were bugs everywhere. Like cicadas had taken over the whole town, it looked like. And I was like, dude, just nobody cares about this place. Like, yeah, I feel like that's kind of how Amazon is. It's like, well, they got to worry about other stuff. Like they got LA and New York to worry about. They don't have to care about like the back roads, whatever.
But like, imagine how much goodwill and how little it would cost them if they found a town like that in the U.S. and just said, "We're bringing all our seller support back here. We're going to create 2,000 jobs. You don't even have to pay that much if it's in the middle of nowhere." And now these are American jobs. These are people. When you say Target, Kohl's, they actually know what it is. Like, it's literally an American who understands what's happening. Like, how much goodwill that would get with everybody, and it wouldn't cost that much.
No.
But I guess big places like that, they're all committees. They got to get it through and everything.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of the people's biggest issues. One of my biggest issues, while I really am just doing the influencer program now, it's just like you can't trust them. And like you were saying before, it's like, I'm sorry, like I lost, I think it was like 100 or something. And you go back and forth. Oh, we have a quantity of 100. You only have 99 or whatever it is. Or you submit 101 and they say, no, it's only supposed to be 100. It's like, how long are you going to argue with these people for a couple grand? Like, it's just impossible. And it's just like the hassle is just absolutely insane. Like, it's just not worth it. And like, I think Drew said it before. It's like almost the future of Amazon is working like 60 hours a week to make like
I got
the
that
same
from
amount
Rick.
of money.
I stole that from Rick.
Oh yeah, to make the same amount of money, and it's just like, I don't know. I guess it's better than doing like another job. But then when you topple on the fact that you have to leverage like a couple $100,000, it's like, like, is this worth it? Um, but I don't know. Did you look at Walmart at all? I'm curious to see like your thoughts.
No,
No.
not even one bit. Because it'll be the same thing. And it seems like they're nicer to the sellers now, but like, it's a giant corporation. Like, eventually it'll devolve to what Amazon is.
Yeah,
But
the math just makes no sense there. I get why people are like going as like a shelter because they're so sad what Amazon's done to them, but I do not see how that's possible. It's a future at all. Like the future of reselling is Walmart or something. I don't see that.
yeah, I mean, I understand if someone's doing this full time and they need another outlet for goods and more opportunities, but for what I'm doing, it doesn't make sense. Um, but it's funny too when people will brag about like Amazon's my business partner. It's like, no, they're not. Like, they're using you. And have you ever seen the way they treat people in the warehouses? And if
Bad.
you go on Reddit, do you ever see the complaints for people who work in like their headquarters, like the engineers and stuff? Like, it's a ruthless company. That's what they do. But like, I don't know. I guess I should have expected that. And the other thing too is you never know what these companies are actually, what their real goal is. It's just so hard to tell. When there was one company we traded for, they brought us in because they had like the lowest commissions. It was crazy, but there was no customer service, and they just did not care. And we were pushing like tons of volume. We were paying them probably millions of dollars a year in commissions. Not that they kept all that, but like, we were a pretty big customer, and they just couldn't even pick up the phone. And we were like, what the heck? Like, why don't they care? Like, they could be making so much more money if they kept us happy. Well, it turns out 6 months after we left, the company got sold for like $80 million. And the thing was, the platform we were trading on, they were trying to sell that. And they just needed us to be bodies on the platform to show that it worked, like as a proof of concept. Like, they wanted the 80 million. They didn't care about our $1 million a year in commissions or whatever. Like, that was an afterthought. So that was kind of like instructive, like to think about Amazon. It's like, you have no idea. Like, when people are like, well, if Amazon keeps their sellers happy, they'll make more money. It's like, you have no idea what they're trying to do. And like, don't try to predict it. And it's probably not going to be good for you. You know?
Yeah. their goal is probably not to help the world if we've learned anything from like corporations. Yeah, that's a pretty good point. I wonder what they are like thinking. I don't know. I feel like every company nowadays does kind of have the same goal though. It's like, how can I keep like the majority of the world on my platform the most of the time. I think that's like, that could be the one world goal. Like Facebook's trying to do that. Amazon is kind of trying to do that. Like, how many industries can I get in? How can I be the one thing? I'm like the one-stop shop. Apple, that feels like what it is. It's like, who's going to become like the megacorp that like we wake up and everything we do for the whole day is through that corporation. That to me, that makes sense that would be the goal. Because nowadays there's so much stuff that's like electronic. I mean, what do you even do that doesn't require some company to help you in some form? Like not much. Yeah. What else? I was going to ask you about the podcast. So you've watched all these episodes. What are some of your ones that you like a lot, and then what other ones like? What are you intrigued on when you watch, or like what gets your attention and stuff like that? And why did you find that Whatnot one better than the other ones? I guess too. Big question, but you take it whatever way you want.
Probably the Amazon ones I found the most helpful, just because still doing Amazon, like it's good to hear perspectives. I'm not sure what the Whatnot one, why it was so intriguing. I guess just the way he described it.
Yeah, if you watched it again since you started selling,
No,
go back and watch it. I watched it. I watched it myself, like I wasn't the one talking to the guy, but I go back on there after I'd sold stuff, and I was like, oh, I see. There's something here. Like he's excited talking and like saying all this stuff, and like I didn't notice it during the pod, but when I watched it back, I was like, oh, I see what is happening to him. He's like, I can't believe what I'm saying. And then we would ask him certain things, and he would hesitate, and I'm like, oh, he's giving away like alpha on the pod, but he doesn't know whether to say it because he's so excited that he's like, this is the best opportunity. And when you watch it back, it made me even more convicted and like, oh, this is good, because he's just like, oh, I've stumbled upon gold here, and he's set up perfectly to really make like millions of dollars doing it. So. And when you watch it back, I think you'll be able to see that too, which got me even more intrigued.
Like I like all of them, even if it's something I'm not going to do. It's good to hear what's working, what's not working, like what people are trying. But like the Lego one was good, but then like I looked into it and I was like, I can't make it work, Or the Etsy one, and then I was like, nah. Like you investigated, and then you see like there's things about my situation where like it doesn't fit.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, too, for like people trying to figure out what to do is like, don't worry if there's 50 things you don't like. Like, it's probably going to be how it is. Like, it might be the 51st that you investigate, and that's fine. But you just have to kind of like wait around, keep yourself busy, keep making money until that one thing happens, and then be ready to do like 12-hour days for months on end until you get established, and then you can coast. Because it doesn't work in bursts like that. It's not going to be linear.
I think that's a good message for a lot of people listening to this too, because it's like, I think that's what our goal has become on this podcast, is to like present other opportunities outside of Amazon. And we weren't sure how it would like go over, and it's gone over pretty well. And I think that's kind of how I've been lately. It's just like, okay, like you said, I did the Etsy thing. It's like, not for me. But I think for a lot of people that are on the fence about Amazon and Walmart, is it working for me? Like, I would be like really real with yourself and be like, is this really giving me what I need? Is there like a better way to make money? Like if you're trying to make like an extra $500 to $1,000, you could do that on Whatnot. You could do that on Facebook Marketplace. Like you do it in so many other places with less headaches, less complications, no inventory, less risk. And I think a lot of people should really just kind of look into that. And like you don't have to throw away Amazon or Walmart, or at least look for other things and see if they click better or they're going to work better for you. It's kind of what I found out with the influencer program. It sounded like kind of dumb, kind of stupid. And I was like, wow, like this just worked. I started doing it, and now it's like basically the full-time thing. And it's like, this is amazing. So you always got to look for different opportunities, I feel like.
Yeah, and I think
if you enjoyed this episode and know someone else that would enjoy this episode, if you could send them this episode, literally just copy and paste a link, send them on Instagram DM. Everyone loves to network. This is a great way to do it, a very easy way. It helps grow the podcast and get better guests. So the more the podcast gets shared, the more views we get, the better guests we could get for you. we would really, really appreciate it. And tag us on social media and we will share it as well.
I think that's probably something too, if someone's coming from a normal job and they start with some entrepreneurship type thing, is like you're gonna have a lot of stuff that doesn't work. And I don't know, I guess I feel like people maybe aren't used to that. Like Drew, when we started doing the Amazon thing, and it's like when you were like, you gotta look at 50 or 500 ASINs or whatever. And I was like, all right, yeah. And 450 of them won't work, but 50 will be decent, 30 will be really good, and 10 will make me my money. And some people just look at you and be like, I gotta look at 500 of these? Like, what? But like, that's how it is. And that's the same thing with like business models. It's like, figure out what works for you. Do you have time? When do you have time? Do you have money? Like, what's your relationship, situation? Is everybody on board? Like, there's so many variables of like what plan is going to work for you or what like opportunity. And you just got to make sure you're not trying to put like a round peg in a square hole, because just because it works for somebody else, it can't work for you.
This is a perfect segue. I ask everybody this, and I don't think I asked you this last pod. What is the one thing that makes somebody successful? And it cannot be perseverance or consistency. And you've listened to all the responses, so maybe you can give a really unique one here.
The number one thing that makes somebody successful. You can't say perseverance?
No consistency. That's the obvious one. You got to have something, like you've heard all these other people. I think the funniest one's Grant. He was just like, you know what? Some people just can't do it. And I was like, I've never heard that before. He was like, man, I've coached thousands of people. Some people are just retarded. Like they cannot do it. And I was like, man, that's a rough one. But people say a bunch of different stuff, but I'm curious. You have to have some, thought on it.
Can you say determination?
Well, expand.
So it's like, yeah, I would say probably determination or a goal. So like, the first couple dozen items I had to pack from Amazon and then send them out. When you calculate how much money you make per hour, like it's disgusting. Like you're if you're making money, but like if you're determined and you push through that initial part that's not pleasant, then you have a chance at success.
It's like belief too. I guess it'd be like self-belief or belief in the model. Like as long as you know at the other side of it that it can work. Because if that deters you and you think there's nothing on the other side, then you're just going to quit. But if you're like, okay, this is just part of it, the other side is better, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
somebody one time said resourcefulness, and I feel like that's a high one, where it's like you run into a problem and you don't just think, oh, this is a problem. You're just like, oh, I just got to find a way to fix it. And then you're like, how to find stuff. Like, how to find answers, like a problem solver or whatever. Because I've coached so many people, I realized that. Like, I'm like, dude, this is a Google away. Like, there's no shot you ask me that. Like, I'll just send them Google back. Like, there's no, but I guess some people just don't even think through that. They're like, I wasn't on the first result on Google, so what is it? I'm like, just scroll down a little bit, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think that determination is like if someone's trying to do this to quit their job, like how bad do you hate your job? Do you hate it looking at 500 ASINs bad, or do you hate it looking at 10 ASINs bad? Because if it's 10, you're not going to make it. You must not really hate your job. Like, what are you really willing to do? And so when I started Amazon, there was a clear goal of what we were trying to do with the money. And it was like, yeah, I'll do anything, anything legal to get that. Not selling fake branded socks.
What else can we? Oh, we got you an hour here. Anything else you want to talk about?
I really like that though, like the determination and kind of. I think a lot of the time, like when Drew's like, "Yeah, you need to look at like 500 ASINs." Like a lot of that's missing from all the marketing angles that like sucks you into Amazon. It's like, oh, like you just sit at your computer, you could walk into a Walmart, you see people just scanning the first thing they pick up, and it's like super profitable, and then they have a shopping cart full of shit, and you're like, that is not my experience. Like, but you missed like the 1,000 things that they scanned in the aisle, or like, there's not always clearance, and I think that's like a big thing. Like Alex Hormozy always tells this story And when he was doing a gym and he had a mentor, and the guy's like, "Oh, you got to hand out flyers." So he gets the flyers. He does like 300 flyers, and he's like, "No one called me. One person called to say like they dented my car or whatever." And the guy is just like laughs at him, and he's like really mad. And he's like, "How many did you do?" He's like 300, and he's like, "Dude, like we do 5,000 a day, and that's just to test which one works. And after that, we do 25,000 for the next week." And everybody's like, "Got it." Like, so it's like that whole, like, you gotta, like, you're like, "Oh yeah, I did my thing, like, screw you, you don't know that." He's like, "Bro, you need to do like 25,000." And he's like, got it. Like, so I think there's like levels to everything, and like a lot of people don't like skip that part because it's like, maybe if Drew's like, "Hey, like," he in the pre-call, he's like, "Yeah, you're gonna have to look at 500 things before you get one," you'd be like, I don't know if that's worth my time.
Yeah.
So I get the other angle where like you got to come in, but like it's like that whole like back and forth, and you got to find that right mix. But
Yeah, I had this reminds me, I had a talk with, I started a business like last November. I was trying to do the, making those faceless pages, but I started with a friend initially, and I was doing work like literally running 12-hour days and learning how to edit, learning like what even works with the content. Nothing was working. And the friend I was doing it with, he was just putting in like no effort. He was putting in like an hour or two after work. And I had to sit down with him and I'm like, dude, if you want to make this work, you want to get to 25 grand a month, you want to make it big, you do not understand how much work is required. Like whatever you even think it is, make it bigger than that and then make that bigger. Because usually like you think what a lot of work might be in your head, but if you've never experienced it, you do not even understand like how much it will actually take to make a lot of this stuff work, because you have the learning gaps, you have like all the mistakes that are going to set you back like 200 hours, like all these things. I don't think people just can't grasp that concept. But if you've never done it, I mean, there is no way to really grasp it. Like you can't even imagine how much time it's going to take. But there's like the 10,000 hour rule. I mean, that's a good way to look at it, really. It's a lot of hours for people to get good at stuff.
Yeah, and like not to piggyback like on what Grant said again, but like some people just don't have it. But like I think there is a gear you have to be able to shift into to like look at 500 ASINs in a day, you know, and like not everybody has developed that gear yet, you know, of like being able to hustle that much. And so when people are like, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to run my own business, it's like, I don't know if you've practiced what you need to get that, you know? Because like I coach a lot of people and they think like it's just magic. I'm gonna sprinkle the magic words and it's gonna work. But it's like, no, you gotta practice this like a ton. I just give you a blueprint. You have to like study it and like ask the right questions and care. And people are like shocked that it doesn't always work. Um, but
I
yeah,
think
it
that's also
doesn't
the
always
hard
work.
part about entrepreneurship. I don't know if it's like you guys, but I almost like expect everything to work for some reason, and
Yeah,
like
me
there to
too.
be no issues, or it's like, I've done a successful Amazon business. Like I started an Etsy store, I don't know, the beginning of last year, I think it was, and I was like, Drew, this is it, man. This is the thing, blah blah. And then like I started doing it, and I just thought like I took this course, like I followed it easy peasy, and then yeah, it wasn't that easy. And it wasn't the course's fault or anything like that. You just come up against these obstacles, and you have to ask yourself, do you really do want to do this? Is this a fit for me? Like, do I see like, is this what I want to do for hours a day? Like designing shit in Canva, like, and then but you don't know unless you like kind of go through it. And like, yeah, like you guys said, like I think a lot of people like hard work means probably different, well maybe not for us, but like you could talk to like your friends or whatever and like be like, oh, like I worked really hard today, and like they went to their job for 8 hours, like probably worked like 4 or 5 of those hours maybe. You're like, bro, like I just worked like 12 hours. This is my computer for 12 hours. And like I just had dinner and now I'm like on social media like posting shit. Like, and then that for me is like hard work. So I think like a lot of people get that mixed up. Or like how much, like someone will be like someone like you're like, oh, I only work on the Amazon business like maybe a couple hours, right? Those probably couple hours look much different than someone else who's just kind of like looking and then pulls up their phone, like, you know what I mean? It's like just very different, I think. And I think you to really be an entrepreneur, if I learned anything from this podcast and just doing it, it just takes so much work and like mistakes and like looking like an idiot, and that's the only way to like really get through it. And then eventually like you're kind of like, okay, I made it, and then Amazon changes the rules or this happens or that. It's just a constant like never ending chasing your tail almost.
Yeah, I had someone recently. I think I've said this on here before. But they were like, "How do you not get like lost in all these businesses on the pod? Like, do you not want to do every business?" And like, really, there was a like changing moment that like changed my entire life and how I view all these conversations. Is we had Joji on who talked about the used books, and he had described the whole thing. And you know, from doing my stuff, the A to A, I knew exactly what he was talking about, and I had no clue what he was talking about. So I was like, "Dude, I can do this and rip like $1,000 months, like no problem." I download the software, I go on there. And within the first 10 minutes, I see all these problems that I'm like, yeah, this is going to take me weeks and weeks to even understand this business model. And I thought I understood it. So I was like, every time I hear stuff now, I'm like, oh, like we just see the pretty parts, but this stuff takes so much more work and so much more hardship than people like think about. It's not like we're like, in the mines, we're just behind our computers, but it is a lot, and it's mentally like extremely hard work. And a lot of people just can't do that. Like to sit at your computer for 12 hours is tough, man. Like that is just, you got to be very mentally strong to even do that. It's like at any point there's distractions and you can get bored and you can come into stuff. So you're right, John. That is one thing I've learned. It's like, I don't know. It's almost unfathomable how much it usually takes. And you think it's not, but every single time it fucking is. Every time.
And I think you see patterns too. Like you're just like, as we interview all these people, you're like, oh yeah, like I've seen like all the good parts before. Like here probably where it's not so good. Like, you can kind of make those assumptions kind of without trying the model at that point. But I don't know. It's taken about 100 episodes to get to that point.
Yeah, to just get like to try to. I don't know. I was just telling him before the podcast, like I want to start getting on here and like when somebody presents a new model or a new opportunity to kind of try to grill them a bit more, not like just try to like poke into it, because I know that if somebody's going to try that, all the things I would say to poke into it and point out the flaws, somebody's going to see that eventually, and that's what's going to make them want to quit. So if the person has a pushback of like how to do it, I think that'd be really, really helpful. I just got to remember to keep doing it and not trying to offend anybody and being like, now this doesn't seem like it works, but it's like that stuff would be so much more valuable than just telling you like how to make an account or whatever. Like the problems are what's going to stop people, not the fun parts.
Yeah, that's important for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, you got anything else? Any other parting words for the people or anything you want to talk about? We can go as long as you want.
There was one other story I wanted to tell. I don't think I told it in the last one, but about things changing and just being aware of like how quickly it can change. Is like when I started trading, it was 2001, and we had a big desk, and I sat next to this guy, and the month before he made 80 grand, like net to him after commissions. He'd been doing it for like a year or whatever, and he went out and bought a Dodge Viper, which is an $80,000 car, because he thought he was going to make, that was his thing. He was going to do it. The next month he made 5, the next month 2, and then he broke even for 2 years and quit and got an accounting job. So like, that's kind of like where I come from. People wonder why I'm so paranoid or why I'm trying to poke holes in things. It's like things can change. Like, that was an opportunity. That was a moment in time. You wish you'd done twice as much that month, but you didn't know. How could you know that everything was gonna kind of shift? So like when people talk up Amazon, how it's always gonna exist and arbitrage is always gonna exist, like you gotta be really careful about extrapolating from the past that way. Cause like that might have just been your best month, and like now it's not so much. So
Well, you could also tell, like, you could probably tell because you're a big numbers guy. You always like see it's just how they talk about it. Like, oh, there's a million ASINs that, Amazon's not on, and there's 2 buy box sellers or whatever the hell they say. And it's just like, oh shit, there's a million things that I could buy. And it's like, all right, dude, like, not really. Or it's just like, oh, this person like made 100, like, they're just wheeling out like the same people, the same shit. But if you're new, like you just don't know. Like it seems right on paper, or it's just like, oh, you can't sell Nike. And it's like so many other brands. Like no big deal, dude. Like oh, forget about it. It is just like kind of insane. And I guess for us, we're like that's freaking gross. But for like the person who doesn't know, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like there are other brands besides Nike, and they just can't put it all together.
It's that thing you told me this, Rick, once. The what was the thing where people get people into, like, if I can just capture X percentage? You remember telling me this one time? They're like,
That's Shark Tank. Yeah.
yeah. Well,
Mark Cuban. Anytime someone says it's a $10 billion market, if I can get 0.05%, that's 500 million or whatever it is. As soon as somebody says that, he's like out because he's like, that's not how business works. Like you can't think that way. It's just not how it works.
yeah, the math. I think people like the statistics because they're like pretty and they sound really good, but it's just like not at all how the math adds up. It's like really you're taking something that's like not correlated at all, or like not even. Yeah, it's completely out there. Which is the same with the Amazon stuff. People love to say that stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, if you can find an example where it would sound ridiculous, it's like, well, if I can open up my own e-commerce and if I can just take 0.001% of Amazon, that's $100 million or whatever. And it's like, well, you can't compete with it. Like, it just doesn't even work, you know? But the thing about the brands with the Nike, it's funny because we would have that same exact conversation like 20 some years ago where because people would be like, when's this gonna end? Like, it's getting harder. Like, how, you know, we're gonna be able to do this in 2 years. And people will be like, look, there's 1,000 tickers on the stock exchange. You're telling me you can't find one to make money? And it was like, well, 400 of them don't have enough volume for you to actually trade. They don't move enough. 300 of them have too wide of a bid-ask spread so that the commission you're going to pay, like you can't make it work. So we've got 300 left, and you know there were a few other like things. And it basically comes down to like there were like 50 to 60 stocks that you could really trade on any day. And if you wasted your time on any of the other ones, you just wouldn't make money for like structural reasons. So like that was the thing with Nike. Like people were underestimating. It's a giant thing. You can get the product everywhere. Like when that goes, you can't just replace it with like you can't replace it with anything. How many little ASINs or little brands would you need to replace it? Like hundreds or thousands. And that assumes none of those brands give you trouble and blah blah blah. Like it's just like it's a really misleading statement. But a lot of people are selling courses, and if you admit that Nike or Adidas or whatever the third or fourth biggest things are, not allowing sellers anymore is a big deal. If you admit that, you're kind of killing your business. So that's why you see emotional reactions. But like,
yeah. My favorite is when the people that sell a bunch always say, "I've never sold a Nike item ever," and then it's like, "Yeah, dude, but you do a 2% margin, and you're getting like it's just a completely different thing." Like you telling a new person that it's just not at all a realistic expectation. Which it's not like you can't run a business without it, but like I wonder how many brands there really are that Amazon doesn't compete with you that you can find everywhere. Like there can't be over like 50 that have like I don't know what the volume of Nike is a month on Amazon, but like if you add factors like that, they can't have over maybe not even 50. I mean, maybe there's 10. I don't even know one. So like I don't know what's another thing that competes with it that's not. I don't know. Like, is there anything like that?
yeah, I've never looked at the numbers. I just assumed like from feel of it that like you just can't get volume in other places or velocity or whatever, you know. And well, like you said, Drew, all these companies are like trying to control their own product now. Like, did you see Skechers got bought out? And I don't know if they regated everybody, but I got regated because they got taken private. So
I did not know
stuff
that.
like that happens, and it's like, well, you just replace it. And it's like, no, that's a pretty big brand. Like, replace it with what?
Yeah, and the skills required to replace it are really tough too. Like, how much knowledge do you have of like Nike and stuff? Like, so much. How long did it take you to get it? literally years. So how are you just going to get into another brand? The knowledge is not at all applicable. You understand how to do discounts, but like that's not you finding like these sales cycles and certain things and websites that allow certain things. It takes like so many hours to even figure that out.
Yeah. But I guess in all these things, you really just need to find somebody you trust. And that's the great thing about social media. Like that's how I found Drew. Like I read your tweets and I was like, I get a sense here, like this guy's legitimate, you know? Like if you're good at reading a person, you can buy the right person's course.
That's a great message, dude. I mean, it is true though, man. You finding somebody that can just teach you that stuff is great. But a lot of people, that was that the first thing you bought? My stuff?
No, I paid for an hour or two of coaching from another
Oh yeah, I
noted
remember that.
Amazon seller who couldn't answer my questions. But like I sussed it out, but that's because I knew what to ask. And I
I
was like,
always
this
used to
guy's
tell
not
people
answering the
that.
question.
I always used to tell people that, like, if the person's legit, like, you could buy an hour of their time for sure, because they have something bigger to sell you. It might cost you $200, $300, but like, better to spend that and like know whether or not they could help you than to drop, 3, 4, 5 grand, and then be like, I
100%.
guess they couldn't help me. Shit.
And go with your gut, you know, like if you talk to somebody for 5 minutes on the phone, you can know, like, you should be able to tell how full of it they are.
Yeah. Well, man, any parting words, or John, you got any more cute questions?
No, I'm out of questions.
This is a good pod. This is a good one on the fly, man. We really just put this
Shit on
together
the fly.
last second. This is great.
Yeah, so when you going live again?
On whatnot
Yeah.
tonight, I hope probably. I got to get more inventory, but I want to try to keep it consistent because there's no. I guess the pod's going to keep going because this is something else to talk about, but I'm okay with it. I think there may be an aspect of returning viewers being like way more important than you think. And I don't want to I don't want people to kind of forget who I am if they're on like a dopamine of waiting for me. And I asked Levy and he said that. Like, I was like, do you have any tips? And he was like, people will keep coming back, like treat them good and like interact with people because they will. I feel like your buyers are going to be made up of a smaller percentage. And that what's the thing you mentioned this before, John, the 1,000 true fans or whatever. If you can
Yeah.
get 1,000 fans and sell them each $100 a year, you have $100,000 salary for life. If you can keep people doing that, I think this platform may play that. Which that might be one of those stupid numbers that we've talked about. But the guy that said that, I think it's a little more applicable because you can sell 1,000 people $100 product. It ain't like that hard to actually even make that work. I think Whatnot might be like that. Imagine you can get 1,000 people that will watch your stream over time consistently that'll pay you $100 over time. And now you have 100 grand a year. And 1,000 people ain't that many people, and $100 ain't that much money.
If you look at it though, too, like the QVC model, where they have all the same hosts.
Mhm.
Like there are people that just love those hosts, and like doesn't matter what the hell whether it's hamburgers or apples or a frying pan, they're just gonna watch their show because they just like him. And even though they're not like Whatnot, I guess the flip side is like you're directly benefiting. Like this guy on QVC, he has a salary. I don't know if he gets commission or not, but like I think there's a lot invested in, oh, I like this guy, like I want to support him, or if I had to get, I don't know, shoes, like I'd rather get them from Rick than from Drew because I like Rick better for whatever reason. And then like kind of like building that up, I think it will definitely like pay you dividends for sure.
Yeah, what do you think about that, Ray? Do you think that might be an aspect of it too? Like maybe all these other things are less important than that, you know?
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. I keep thinking you need more buyers, but it is probably better once you have a person that you know wants your products to like bring them back for more. Did you see you can tell how much each person has bought? Did
Yep.
you see that feature?
Yep.
The analytics are nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I see. The way I think about it is like I heard from the marketing Allen guy, he was saying like the best businesses in the world are like the $10. It's if you're charging somebody 1% of Social Security, Social Security being like $1,500 a month or whatever, which is like also the average salary of a college kid, and Spotify, Netflix are all in that $10 to $20 range or $15. So that's something people can kind of pay for forever and never even look at it because it's 1% of their monthly income, which is not even anything. And you can like he always talked how you could push it to 10%. And then after you take 10% of somebody's monthly income, it's where like it gets a little fishy because you mess with them psychologically. But I always remembered that thing because I was like, that's pretty interesting. Because on Whatnot, for example, you have 1,000 people, not on one stream, but that will tune in, that only have to pay you like $15 a month or whatever, $10 a month. It does average out like really, really big over the course of a year. And you're always going to be getting new people. You'll lose some, but like if you can find a way to do that, maybe the inventory, maybe the margin, maybe that stuff doesn't matter as much. It's just like, how can I reach this goal of like getting the people to buy the stuff and have stuff that they are going to consistently buy every month. That's their Netflix, is like getting on there and spending a few bucks here and there on your stuff. Which I don't know. I could be wrong, but to me that makes a lot more sense than maybe some other ways to do it.
I think it could also be like, you could also view it as like almost walking into like a retail store. Like, let's just say you like Nike stuff or whatever. Like this last week, it's like, well, I need new like workout stuff. Like I went to like Dick's. Like I have no idea like what is there per se. Like I'm just going, I want to get the stuff, and you go in and you browse. So I feel like for something like that, it's like, well, I'd rather go to Drew instead of Dick's Sporting Goods or whatever, because like I know he has like in the vicinity of what I want. I don't know what he has yet, but like there's probably going to be something, and I'd rather go there.
Yeah, so there could
So
be a whole human aspect of this. Yeah, like that too. There could be this whole human aspect of it that might actually be the key to it. I could see that being a thing.
People are like, this is my shoe guy. I like to get my shoes from this guy, or this is my like home products. Like he always has good home products.
Yeah, and then every time they meet somebody like that, they refer you people and stuff. And you can build this out like you have a little like storefront. I think that could be possible. It's like, and you could even give them stuff. It's like, hey, if you can refer me people here, I'll give you X or whatever. Stuff like that. I think there's some way you could probably play that. That might be easier than trying to get a warehouse and 30 pallets. Maybe that's not the best way to go about it.
Well, the thing I like about Drew has convinced me I got to do a show. But I do think one of the nice parts about it, and we've talked about it off camera, but it's like people are actually there to shop, like, which is very rare. Like you're going on TikTok, like you're trying to like not think about something else. Like you don't want to see someone like pushing like a Ninja Creamy or whatever. Like that's not what you're there for. But on Whatnot, you're like, I'm ready to buy. I feel like when you go on Amazon, like there's something you want to buy. Now if something else pops up, like that's a different story. But for Whatnot, you're like, I don't know what the hell I want to buy, but like I want to buy something. And like I'm going to start looking. It has that same like TikTok feel. Like I don't like this stream, like next stream. And like you're just like, all right, this is like someone interested. Like what is this? So I think that's like really interesting. And I think like with Drew, like in your head, you have in your mind, like I don't like to like gamble that much, but like if we're going on like a trip to Atlantic City, like in your head you're like, all right, like if I lose $100, like I'm not going to be mad or sad about it. Like that's kind of your number, and I think probably people go to Whatnot with that, where it's like I'm willing to spend X tonight. Like I'm going to get entertained for half an hour. I'm like good with that. And who knows if they really like the stuff, maybe they spend $100. But I think that's like a good mindset if you're a seller, to have someone's like, I don't know what I'm spending money on yet, but like it's gonna be something, and like you just have to be that something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the nice part too is like more aggressive sales techniques are kind of normalized. Like if you watch enough Whatnot streams, you become like desensitized to it. Because like if I walked into like Foot Locker and people were just like shouting at me like, go, come on, Jack, come on, go. I'd be like, yo, I'm out. Like I'm never coming back. But like literally every Whatnot stream, you have people like encouraging you to buy, and I don't know, it doesn't feel like scammy. It just feels like funny because I know I can just click a button and shut them up.
Dude, that's so true, man. I went to a farmer's market the other day and I loved it because no one was like, hey, do you want to try this today? But it's like on Whatnot, it's the most insane thing ever, but you don't even really notice it. You're like, well, they're just trying to get their stuff. I watched this guy the other day on there with perfume, and he was saying that he's like, way too low, way too low. These are way too low. You guys got to bid this up, bid this up. And I was like, dude, I don't know how this is working. And people are like, they're feeling FOMO because this guy just won't shut up for like 10 seconds, 20 seconds saying this. Yeah, that's another aspect to it too. I guess the traditional sales tactics play. There's probably something to do. I bet there's something with loss leaders as well. of you like giving away an Xbox or something to where you might lose like hundreds of dollars like throughout the giveaways. Maybe an Xbox is not a good one, but something expensive to where it's like I'm giving away $100 item, but you don't care if you give that away because you're going to get 400 people in your stream that are waiting for that item that are going to shop while they're there. If you relate it to the item, I don't know if they advertise giveaways. I don't know enough about the platform yet, but I guarantee that there's some aspect of that too, to where you can one shiny object.
I used to I follow some other people. I'm not going to call them out, but like, I just never understood it. And that's all they do is like these giveaways, and they'll sell like hundreds of products a day. But they were like, I probably should have looked at Whatnot, because they were like, tonight we're giving away 10 iPads. Like, that's insane. Like, and like in my head, I'm like, they have to be losing a shitload of money. But like, it didn't occur to me to be like, maybe they're making so much money that they could give away 10 iPads. And like, based on what you guys are saying, like, that's probably the case.
Yeah, and the great part about Whatnot is you literally have the numbers to back this up. You can see how many followers did you gain. So you can just compare it to a stream where you had an iPad or not, and then how many sales per person or like whatever it would be. And then you're like, okay, this iPad, each time I give away an iPad mini, I generate 1,000 new followers and I get double my sales. So it's like this cost of the iPad is nothing compared to that. It's like a marketing metric you could probably track.
Yeah, I'd be curious too. I'm really curious about how seasonal it is. Like, does it boom like Amazon in November, December? Like, I'm sure it does, but like, I wonder how much. Because like, there's a lot of Amazon people who play most of the year just for Q4, which I think makes sense. Like, is that something that translates over here as well?
I bet that Whatnot spends the most money on advertising during that, especially this year. The fact that it's grown like it has, I bet they're like, we're going to do this Q4 push, and that's going to really change it. And then you have the great thing is you go into what I hope they would do. I don't know who, I wish somebody would know this, is like you go into Q4, you rip a bunch of sales, you onboard users, and then the Super Bowl is right around the corner. And you run a Super Bowl ad, and then now you're the biggest platform for selling like on the App Store during the year. That would be the goal. And that we would be very rich if that happens, but I hope that they and Levy said too, they care about the bigger sellers. Did you hear that? They give them lots of credit, and they give them a lower commission and stuff, or lower fees.
Yeah,
that's huge. That changes the whole game. Imagine you get 2.5% less. That changes like everything. You can drop everything, like drop the price of whatever you have to have, and that would change a lot.
Yeah, it seems like they're being seller friendly now, which is awesome. So,
what are your plans to scale it up, Rick? Are you gonna keep just doing Amazon stuff, or are you gonna try to? I know Drew's trying to go buy some inventory in a little bit.
I am.
I'm not sure yet. I'm still like testing it out to see whether I want to buy inventory, whether I want to. I know I don't want to be on the camera the whole time. So like, do I build out a team of people like Levi did? Or Levy to build out a team to do it for me or not? I still want to get some more data before I figure it.
That's what I'm doing. I have a budget in my head. I'll waste all that money. I don't really care. Just to get the data to be like, okay, is this even worth it? Because we could just be high on it. I don't know. But I don't know. The only thing I don't see how we would be. It's like proof of concept is there. Me and you have sold like over $400, and we've done 3 shows combined. Not bad. Yeah. Less than 3 hours.
That's crazy.
Yeah. All right. Well, how do you end the episode, John? I'll try to end this one. Thank you guys for watching. Click like and subscribe. Rick has nothing to plug, and we'll see you on the next episode.
If you love this episode and want to listen to other episodes, click this playlist right here that has all our episodes. And if you like this episode and want a good episode just like this one, click this video right over here.